Hi, everyone. Welcome to Ontario Mortgage Cafe, Saturday Morning Cafe. Today, we're going to be talking about debt repayment and refinancing. We'll go through an agenda. So today, we're going to be providing you with an introduction. We'll talk about understanding debt loops. What is a refinance? Refinance case study. We'll have a question and answer session at the end, and we'll talk about how to save and make money. My name is Andrew Metcalf, and thank you so much for joining our webinar today. I have 23 years of credit and collections experience. I'm Equifax credit certified. I'm a founder of Ontario Mortgage Cafe Group, which is a team of Mortgage Alliance. I'm licensed as a mortgage agent. I'm a proud owner of sisters Bella and Izzy. They're miniature dachshunds. The black one is Izzy and the brown one is Bella. And I'm passionate about creating solutions to help families learn about their finances and save money. To book a session with me, a free consult, you can reach me through bit.ly/talkwithandrew. Book some time. Happy to help you with any of your questions and concerns. Now let's talk about debt. Well, debt sucks, right? No one wants to be in debt, but life happens. And if you have debt, then life has unfortunately happened. Or maybe it's not so unfortunate. Who would love to have a transformation from being in debt to having a savings account with money in the bank? Of course, everyone would, right? But before we begin a plan, let's unpack our debts and understand what caused our debt to learn how to handle them in the future. This is what I call the debt loop. Things that happen in our life where we're consistently in this mindset. There's 6 steps and portions to this mind loop. Really starts with the financial tripwire. Then we go to the debt happens. Then we talk about unrealistic debt repayment plans. We go to failure. Then we go into shame and blame mentality. And then we give up. And then that cycle just continues and continues. Well, the good news is that at each stage offers an opportunity to change our behavior and to stop it from cycling. So really the debt loop is the problem, but it's also the solution. Financial tripwires is really when life throws us curveballs. That's what I call tripwires, things that make us stumble in our finances. Some of these things are things that we can avoid, and others we can't avoid at all. Routine tripwires are spending triggers that happen in specific places or during specific events. These are almost habitual. Often these routine spending triggers cause us to overspend without even thinking about it. Things like a friend's wedding, or sending your kids to summer camp, or perhaps you had an injury and now you need physiotherapy. Emotional tripwires are unique for everyone. These are things where you have familiar feelings that make you want to spend more. Feeling down? Well, treat yourself. Out celebrating? Drinks are on me. Yes, we've all kind of been there in our lives at times, and financial setbacks are things that we can't avoid. Things like the pandemic. Well, I think we're all kind of tired of this, but we're all in the pandemic, and it wasn't something that we could have planned for. Such as a job loss or even a health scare. Similar situation where we can't really plan for those things, and they're not things that we could avoid. Then we go to debt happens. Debt happens is, if luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, then debt is what happens when lack of preparation meets a financial tripwire or setback. No one is excited to swipe their credit card or borrow again on their line of credit when they know that they cannot make those payments and they're struggling paycheck to paycheck. So adding an extra monthly payment really doesn't help us, but that's what happens. Life happens to us. Debt happens from our tripwires because in the moment, it feels like there's no other choice and it's our only way forward. However, when we use our credit, it means less money to support our daily living expenses. Then we go and we try to create a plan and we try to find a way to resolve this issue. But unfortunately, we create an unrealistic debt repayment plan. When you get stressed about the amount of debt that you're carrying and panic sets in, is actually the worst time to make a debt repayment plan. Because panic breeds failure. The problem with aggressive repayment plans is the timeline until you're debt free. That's often a very short and requires you to make unrealistic reductions in your spending to make it happen. This really actually dooms us to fail. Then we're sitting in failure. And that's when failure happens because life happens. If you reduce your spending by so much that you have to be on your best spending behavior all the time, going without small pleasures day in and day out, failure is just a given. Eventually, a tripwire will come that forces you to spend more than your budget, and the debt loop will begin the cycle again. Then when we all feel failure, then we start to fall into this shame and blame mentality. The headspace you occupy when you feel like a total failure after your debt repayment plan falls off the rails. You could pay down your debt or you couldn't pay down your debt or stop using your credit, and you feel like it's your fault. We feed ourselves negative comments like this all the time. Comments like, we're bad with money. Before long, we believe that. This is the worst part of the cycle. I think this is actually the reason why the cycle exists and continues to be in action in our lives. Shame and blame are not good motivators, and in fact, they tend to create more debt. It takes so much mental energy to deal with our emotional monkey on our backs that it interferes with our ability to actually move forward. You become frozen, constantly worried about the failure and feeling guilty of the past decisions that we've made. So we end up in a give up moment. This is when the shame and blame mindset makes you give up. It tricks you into thinking, what's the point? Ignoring debt feels much easier, safer, and much more comfortable. So the spending continues, and the debt increases, and the dread mounts. You're actually in a debt cycle going round and around, over and over. But there's good news, because we can actually smash the crap out of that shame and blame mentality that's hanging over us like a dark cloud. The debt cycle is not inevitable. You can stop it, I promise. You can learn new tips and tricks that work and break the debt loop for good. The key is taking back the power to change your behaviors for good, and that starts with reframing your debt, avoiding financial tripwires, and finding motivation beyond the math. And remember that there is good news because we have an opportunity to change our behavior and stop ourselves from cycling in this mindset. So let's shift our mindset. If you have a pad of paper and you're able to journal, take some time and journal these questions. Think about them. First question, what is your debt story? How did you get here? Was it a slow progression, or did this happen all at one time? How was spending this money supporting you at the time? What positives came from it? What did you learn from the event? Did you learn something about yourself or how you want to prepare yourself for the future? If you were able to be prepared for unexpected expenses, how would that make you feel? How can you come to embrace that the spending was actually part of your journey to getting to freedom? Interesting, right? To think of it that way. Well, one of the first steps that we would do is we'd find our routine tripwires. So I'd suggest going through your bank and credit card statements for the past 3 months and highlight the transactions that you don't feel good about. These are going to be the purchases that left you feeling resentful, guilty, frustrated, or even afraid. This is what we call unhappy spending. Then we're going to remove our credit information from any apps or online shopping sites where it's automatically populated. A good tip is to put away your credit card for even just a week so that you can't use it that week. Each time that you go to need your credit card, write down how you feel in that moment that you were not able to purchase something because you did not have your credit card with you. Take note of what you wanted to buy. What were you doing in the moment? Where you were and what time it was. I think the best example of this is when you go grocery shopping and you're hungry. I know I end up buying way more things than I probably would have if I had taken a list and I wasn't hungry at all. And that's part of this, right? Our feelings actually guide some of our decisions. Then examine the transactions that you highlighted or you wrote down. What do they have in common? Is it at a specific store, time, or place that your spending occurs? Who were you with? And what were you doing? What else was going on during those times? And then this is a big question. How did you feel when you were about to spend money? Ask all of these questions to yourself and then look for trends. There may be some trends there and some areas for improvement that will help create a good plan for you in the future. Find your emotional tripwires. This is similar to identifying your routine tripwires, but instead you search your bank statements and think about what you were feeling before you spent the money. Then you ask yourself if there's any trends there as well. And next time that you have an urge to buy something, do a self check-in. Ask yourself what you're feeling and if that aligns with what you want to purchase. Does the purchase align with your overall plan and your goals? And how long will it take you to get there? Will this make it harder to get to your goals or easier to get to them? And finally, we need to look at motivation. Know your why. Are you saving for your family? Are you trying to be on a budget so that you don't have debt and you can have more financial freedom? What is that freedom going to provide you? Some things may include like going on a vacation or maybe purchasing your first home. Really getting to the key of what motivates you to save is the key to freedom. One thing that I do to actually help motivate me is to put a sticker on my debit or my credit cards. This helps me to remember what my goals are and what I'm aiming for. So for me, I just have a sticker on my card. It's a smiley face. It helps me to think, oh, how am I feeling right now? Or you can post a picture of your why on your fridge, in your office, in your car. Have that around you, something that's going to motivate you to be able to get to those goals. Create a vision board. Sit down one Saturday, look at take some magazines, clip out what you'd like your life to look like, and then have that vision board, something that you're going to work towards. Another great thing is to have a friend that can be your accountability partner. I have a couple of accountability partners that I use throughout the week. And it's great because those people know that I really care about them They care about me, and it really builds that relationship piece that we all are lacking and missing in our society today. And that accountability helps me to be able to get to my goals. My friends and family know what I'm working for, so they will support it because they know that at the end of the day, it helps more and more families and makes an impact in our world. So now that we've looked at ourselves internally and understood how we work and what motivates us, now we can create a game plan. So in creating a game plan, the first step will be to make a list of your debts. You can do this by logging into your bank, calling your financial institution, or running a free credit report. Ask me for details if you'd like to learn how to get a free credit report. Remember though that some debts do not show on your credit report. Step 2, confirm exactly how much is owing on each account. Step 3, confirm the minimum payment for each debt. This is a really good time to call your creditors and ask them what the balance is, what your minimum payment is. Ask them if they can lower your interest rate. Sometimes they will. Ask them if they can waive your fees. Sometimes they'll be able to do that as well. You don't get anything by not asking, so it's really important to ask and see what happens. Step 4, confirm the day of the month that the debt is due, the payment is due, to ensure that you do not miss the payment due date. That's really crucial because we all need our credit score, and if you miss a payment, that's really going to make a big impact on that score. Step 5, organize the list into 5 columns: debt, amount owing, interest rate, minimum payment, and the payment date. Then we're going to prioritize that list by the interest rate with the highest rate first. And the final step is that we're going to calculate the total debt and monthly minimum payment. So in this scenario, we have a monthly minimum payment of $1,181, a total debt owing of $45,000. Then we're going to look at calculating our life costs. In this step, we'll calculate our monthly after taxes income from all of our sources to determine what money are we working with each month. Then we're going to add up our monthly fixed expenses. These would be things like our heat, our hydro, anything like we've got a car payment that we're paying every month. Well, that means we need gas. Any other expenses that you might have in your house. Step 3, work out a short-term savings plan. Even creating a savings plan of $20 to $40 a month really does make a big impact, because at the end of the day, we're saving towards our future and building something for ourselves. Make sure that's part of your plan and that you're not missing out on that piece. Calculate your spending money. You know, the problem that we looked at earlier about having an unrealistic debt repayment plan is that sometimes when you build one, you remove all of your savings, you remove any spending money, you really get into a position where you're trying to pay down your debt, but it actually ends up backfiring and causing us more debt. So put that into your budget. Calculate your monthly debt game plan. This is going to determine your debt repayment fund that's available. So after you've calculated what your income is, you take away all of your expenses, your loan payments and debt payments, you're left with a residual, hopefully. And if not, then that means that we need to find additional ways to save some money so that we have some additional money there. Without making cuts to your spending, the money left after deducting your fixed expenses, short-term savings, and your spending amount of money. So let's use in a number of, let's say $300 was left over now. Well, we're going to take a look at something called debt stacking. You may not have heard of this before, maybe you have, but this is a good illustration of what you can do when you're not able to do a refinance. Maybe you don't own a home yet. In this scenario, you would take your debts and order them by the highest interest rate. So for this scenario, the loan has an interest rate of almost 30%, has a minimum payment of $281, and we have our debt repayment amount of $300. So we're going to apply it to the loan and pay our minimum payments on our other debts. And the reason why we'll do that is so we can actually pay off the loan quicker and reduce the total amount of interest that will be charged. So the payment that we would make would be $581 towards a $5,000 balance. If we paid that for 10 months, that would definitely pay off this credit card. Sorry, this loan. But if we did not do that, then the interest is going to continue to compound and our minimum payment really isn't going to tackle that debt very much. Once we've paid off that loan, then we would take that $300 down to the credit card A, and we would have $300 for a minimum payment plus the $300 debt repayment amount. So now $600 can go towards that credit card each month to pay down that debt. Once that debt has been paid, then we would do the next thing. We would take the $600 that we were paying to credit card A and we'd move that to credit card B. So now instead of paying $150 each month, we'll pay that credit card $750 a month. And then you'll see with the auto loan, once that credit card B is resolved, now we can start working towards paying down the auto loan. And that will make a big difference quickly because the auto loan now will have a $1,481 to be applied to it each month. Oh, and also remember, like I mentioned earlier, contact your credit card companies to request that they lower your interest rate and yearly fee. Every year, your lender reviews your interest rate and they may actually lower it for you. We're going to watch a short video about what refinancing is. Maybe you may not have heard of refinancing before, but it is a great opportunity for someone who owns a home and has some equity available in their home. Refinancing replaces your existing mortgage with a new one. It's a great tool to have if you want to reduce your mortgage payments or access your equity. Keep watching to learn all about refinancing.
Refinancing is simply replacing your existing mortgage with a new one before your term ends. 1 in 6 Canadians refinances their mortgage every year for a variety of reasons. Accessing your equity can be a smart move when you need cash for larger purchases like home renovations, investments, or paying for your child's education. The interest rate you'll pay will be much lower than a personal loan. With consumer debt at an all-time high, homeowners may choose to refinance to consolidate their higher interest debts. Many homeowners may choose to refinance to get a lower interest rate. They may also change their mortgage term or amortization. It's important to remember, refinancing your mortgage requires you to end your mortgage early, and this comes with penalties and administrative costs. We can help crunch the numbers and ensure the costs don't outweigh your savings.
Refinancing may or may not be the best strategy for you. Each situation is unique and will need to crunch the numbers on any penalties that you may incur. Contact me to learn more about your refinancing options. And with a refinance, I'm going to share a case study. It's really about a client that actually was able to pay down their debt and how that worked and benefited them. Just like the previous video said, this may or may not be an option for you. We do have to look at your penalty and your costs that would be involved. But in this situation, it made sense. High interest debts from credit cards and loans can make it hard to manage your finances. Many Canadians end up paying only the minimum payment most of the time and struggle to get on top of their debt. Here's how one homeowner used their mortgage to get ahead.
The Lees have 2 kids, full-time careers, and a nice family home. Despite their full-time jobs, they have a hard time with their growing debt load. They have a mortgage on their home and make monthly mortgage payments. They also have a car loan, credit card debt, and a line of credit. Making minimum payments only still accounts for half of their monthly income. With groceries, utilities, and growing kids, making more than the interest-only payments to tackle their debt load felt impossible. When it came time to renew their mortgage, the Lees met with their mortgage expert and decided a consolidation loan would help them get more control of their finances. They decided to refinance their mortgage for a period of 30 years. Their new mortgage payment is $10 less, and their lender paid out their other debts with the proceeds of their new mortgage. This reduces the Lees' overall monthly payments by more than $1,000 a month. The Lees also committed themselves to a monthly budget so they wouldn't end up in the same situation in a few years. And with flexible prepayment options, their mortgage experts suggested they make additional payments so they can be mortgage-free faster.
If you've had a lot of high-interest consumer debts, your home equity can work to your advantage by combining the money you owe into a mortgage, securing a line of credit, or a home equity loan. Let's talk and find the best options for you. So does refinancing work for you? Well, in this scenario, there was a mortgage of $425,000. The interest rate was 3% on a 25-year amortization, so their regular monthly payment was $2,011. They had a credit card of $10,000 at 19.99% with a minimum payment of $300 a month. Another credit card of $5,000 at 19.99% with a minimum payment of $150. An auto loan for $25,000, that would be at 5.99% and a minimum payment of $450. And finally, a loan of $5,000 at almost 30% with a monthly minimum payment of $281. Their total amount that they owed was $470, and their monthly interest was, if you can think about how much interest that would be, it would have made a big impact on the money they were wasting. So their monthly payment was $3,192. So in this scenario, they would have saved almost $1,200 based on the one that they provided in the video there. Let's look at what that would be today. So today our rates may be, I'm being conservative here, 4.29. Probably could get maybe a little bit of a lower rate for you, but 4.29 on a 25-year amortization would be a monthly payment of $2,600. If it was for a 30-year amortization, that would be $2,362. And for a 35-year amortization, that would be $2,199. We deal with over 60 lenders, so based on your situation, really dictates what that interest rate would be. There's many things that go into account for that. Some cases we could actually get a lower rate than that at this point. So it's really good to talk to us about your situation so that we can help you and find the best rate for you. If they chose the 25-year amortization, they were saving $600 a month, which is just over $7,000 a year. Imagine if that $7,000 was in an investment working for you, not against you, not paying the bank extra money, but actually putting it back into your life and building a future. You can see a 30-year amortization save them almost $10,000 a year, and a 35-year amortization save them almost $12,000 a year. Let's also see what would happen if they were to put those funds towards their mortgage and pay down their mortgage even faster. I'll share some tips on other ways you can use your mortgage you currently have and find a way to pay it down faster. Maybe you're not in a situation right now where you need to do a refinance. So if you pay down the debt that's owed, there will be more equity available for you in the future. Did you know by changing how you make your mortgage payments, you could save money in interest and pay off your mortgage sooner? Let's talk about your options to be mortgage-free faster.
If mortgage freedom is your target, here are 3 different ways to reach that goal. 1. Choose the shortest amortization you can afford. A higher payment over a shorter period will help you reach mortgage freedom faster. 2. Choose an accelerated biweekly payment frequency. an extra mortgage payment every year goes straight to your principal. On an average mortgage, you would save more than $23,000 in interest and pay your mortgage off 3 years earlier. 3. Make extra payments. These payments are applied directly to the principal. Be sure to talk to us what additional payment options are available on your mortgage to save yourself from any potential penalties.
By staying on top of the best rates and products, I can educate clients on how to reach their dream of being mortgage-free faster. If you have questions about mortgages, just ask. I'm always here to help. Talking about becoming mortgage-free faster, if you currently have a mortgage and you would like to learn more about what options you have with your mortgage, you can schedule an appointment with me as well. I'd be happy to look at your documents and provide you with strategies that you can use on your current mortgage that would help you pay off your mortgage faster. And we'll open it now for a question and answer session. Before I do that, I'd just like to thank everyone for coming today and for opening up with us about these questions that you have so we can provide you with answers. I'm going to stop the recording and answer your questions so that these are going to be personal questions you may have. So it'll be very confidential and allow us to be able to have that time to answer your questions one-on-one. If you would prefer to book an appointment with me, you can do that by going online and typing bit.ly/T WITH Andrew with a capital A. So bit.ly/talkwithandrew. I'd be happy to schedule any time with you to answer your questions. Our next webinar will be hosted on Saturday, April the 23rd at 10 a.m. This Saturday coming, we'll talk about mortgages for entrepreneurs. This is a deep dive for entrepreneurs, independent contractors, and self-employed people who are seeking to purchase their home now or in the future. We will discuss what lenders look for, how to prepare, what stated income is versus a declared income, documents that are required to qualify for a residential mortgage in Canada. And we'll talk about things like what do you need as an entrepreneur to be with a prime lender, an A lender? Or is there a way to get a mortgage now when you've only got 6 months worth of income? So register today to attend live and/or get the replay. You can contact me at the phone number that's on the screen, my email, my website, and you can also go onto our YouTube channel, which is Ontario Mortgage Cafe. Thank you so much for joining us today and have a terrific weekend.